Welcome back. It's lovely to have you again for the second session of this interview.
My pleasure.
A wonderful center you're building. This is such a beautiful story, and we are happy to share this story. We find that the most difficult transition is in between parents getting a special child and up to the point where they are brought to a center like this. What would you say is the best advice to give to those parents?
They actually need to get in touch with other families with similar problems, so that they learn from each other that this has happened with us. Remember that this couple, when they were expecting this child, they were expecting a normal child, and then suddenly they are being told, hey, you know what, you're going to have a child with Down syndrome. It's something they've never heard of, and they get into this panic. So I would always suggest that get in touch with the relevant societies, get in touch with other families who have similar challenges. They will actually embrace you, and they will actually give you the strength to accept this child. But most of the time we realize that when such a child is born, parents tend to get very nervous, so they hide the child. It becomes a social stigma for them, actually. Yeah, and they don't want to even talk about it to the family that we have a child. But if you talk about it, I must emphasize, talk about it, accept, believe it or not, there is help out here. There is. Don't think that you are alone. You are not alone. There are plenty of other families who will just come running to you and let you, give you all the help. It's not the end of the world. Your child is your child. And look after your child just like you looked after any other child. It's just that you'll have a few extra challenges. It's okay. There are resources available. It can be overcome.
That's beautiful. What would you say is the best age to bring a child to a center like this?
I didn't get you.
What would you say is the best age for parents to bring their children to a center like this?
As soon as they become aware of their environment.
All right.
Yeah.
You said that you wanted to become a veterinary doctor previously, and then you got into special needs education. What is one piece of advice you would give for people who are in the special needs education sector, or people that are looking to join the sector?
People who are, this is very interesting. We often get students from various universities, Maseno, USIU, Kenyatta University, many other institutions, and they all come as graduated special needs teachers. But my advice to them is that graduation paper has absolutely no meaning. As soon as they come here, they really do not know how to handle a child. What you need to know, I need to tell anybody who goes into special needs, please go out and practice. Practice with the child. Get to know the child. What you learn on the paper is going to be completely different once you hold this child with cerebral palsy. The paper is not going to teach you how to have a sitting position, how to do a feeding, how to do toileting, right? So they actually need to get into being practical and get into places where they can practice with these students.
We're going to go away from your center for a little bit and talk about inclusive centers. As a center that is built specifically for these kids, what advice would you give to other educational centers to build a more inclusive environment for children with disabilities?
Yes, inclusion is a big thing right now. A lot of schools have inclusive education. I often get asked, why are you just a special school? Why aren't you having them being included in the normal schools? Honestly and sincerely, we have tried having our students in normal school systems and having them included into the normal school systems. And inclusion is excellent, but at some point, a child who is different, a child who is challenged, is going to feel different amongst the normal students, right? Once this child begins to feel different, this child is going to start withdrawing. And when they start withdrawing, learning stops. And then the normal schools are unable to cope with this withdrawal. It might not happen with everybody. Somebody might flourish, but most of the time we have realized that at the end of the day, they do come looking for us so that they can be amongst the same students like themselves. They don't feel different.
It's important to belong to a community. What would you say is the government lacking in this sector? Is there a curriculum to support special centers like this, or is it up to the institutions themselves to create a curriculum?
I am actually really proud of the Kenya government. You know, they have a lot given to disability. They have a whole disability act, but we have to capture that act. We can't just let it be sitting there written down. We got to go out there and really make it work. You know, you can't have a child and expect people from the ministry to come to you. You need to go to them. You know, they have funding for them. And right now, the government has introduced a disability card, which is online. You can look for it, get your child a disability card, and you can get funding from the government. Yes, there are lots of government schools who are doing well, I think so, and the government is ready to support them, but you got to look for it. You can't just sit there and wait for the government to come to you. It's not going to happen. Yes, but mine is a private institute. We fund ourselves, and our funding basically comes from the fees or personal donations. Sometimes we do fundraising events, and we don't go out looking for funds which may want to make us rich or anything like that. We just want to sustain ourselves, you know, and I think we are sustaining ourselves fairly well.
I would say you are, considering you recently celebrated 20 years. Tell us a little bit about that. How does it feel for you to have come this far? What are things you would change along the way? And what are some of your biggest achievements? What are things you look back on and say, I am glad I did that?
Yes, over the 20 years, I started with 3 students, and as we added on more students, we needed more resources. There was a time when we couldn't sustain ourselves. You know, the fees was very little, and parents sometimes can't pay because they have a lot of other costs, a lot of medical costs for these students. And there were times that I would wonder, how am I going to pay my staff, right? So challenges like that came many times during my 23, 24 years of journey. But I must say the grace of the Panessa family, they always pulled us through. Our biggest challenge came during the COVID time when schools closed down, and yet we had to have the staff. Yeah, I couldn't let the staff go because if we reopened, where will I look for the staff, right? So I had to keep the staff. So from January 2020 till September 2021, we had to look for funds to pay the staff because everything was closed. We would open and close. We would open and close. I mean, doing Zoom lessons with these students, we tried very hard to do it, but it doesn't really work because our students, somebody's got to be there to connect them and to make them actually see what we were doing. So the COVID time was quite a challenge, but the Panessa family, the Panessers, they sort of pulled us through, and we got to 221 September, reopened with 6 students. And honestly, between 21, 22, 23, we're almost getting to be 20 now. We want to close intake at 20 because we feel that's the most we can have. We are presently 19, and there are lots of parents who do approach us, but we are a little bit careful about taking in our students. So it's such a happy experience that now I don't worry about funds. I don't worry about resources. Yeah, we have every possible resource. Any little funding we get, or if somebody wants to support us, we immediately ask us, okay, give us a desktop, okay, give us tablets. Yes, but I'm the story of 24 years, every year, besides the COVID, we've added on. We've added on students, we've added on resources, we've added on specialized therapists and teachers.
What are your hopes and aspirations for the future of special needs education as a whole? Not just for your center, but
As a
maybe for the
whole,
country. Yeah.
I think it's getting there. We are becoming more aware of it. At least in Kenya, I must say, there is a lot of awareness going on. On the 21st of March, we celebrated the World Down Syndrome Day. That's also one of my success stories. I was one of the team members who launched the Down Syndrome Society of Kenya, and I chaired it for many years. And I still am a board member. And so this awareness went right up to Turkana, and which is amazing because now the government has these centers almost in every county, right? So there's a lot of awareness. Awareness is there, but parents have to
Reach out.
go for it, not sit at home and lock up their child, right? They have to form sport groups, be with each other, support each other, and reach out to those centers, reach out to the government. They're ready to help. And I can see good future for our students in this country.
Is there anything else you would like our readers to know? Is there anything else you feel that this is not talked about enough, or more people need to hear this? In regards to special needs education.
I mean, there are so many issues that we do need to address, and most of them need to be more awareness about disability in our legal system, especially in where you have the police administration, you have other security people, you have other individuals who are connected and yet don't want to be connected with us, right? They know about it, but they tend to ignore. So they've got to stop ignoring the fact that we exist. Yeah. Yes, these students are very much there. They need you. They need that help. So don't shy away. They are not going to take away your money. You know, if you can just give them a few minutes to sit with them, make them happy, read a story, play a sport with them, right? Just like the Special Olympics and all, you know, that's all they need. They don't need too much. This is the thing about a child with challenges. They don't need much. They just need our time. And time is priceless. You know, when you consider people who are up there, they don't never have time. So I will just say, make time. We exist. Come to us. Come and have spent time with us. Yes.
That brings us to the end of our interview today.
Thank
It has
you.
been such an enlightening conversation.
Thank
you
you.
so much for telling us your story, for sharing with us the beautiful Circle Academy.
Thank you.
And we are going to do just